Welcome to another video. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe.
Nicely, making the samurai a deadly opponent. The samurai's sword was said to have a personality of its own. Some were good and some bad. But whether it was good or evil, the sword had to be hard enough to hold a sharp edge and flexible enough to absorb blows without breaking. Japanese sword makers were among the first to solve this problem, creating a blade that was both sharp and resilient. And they did it more than 800 years ago. The samurai were known not only for the advanced technology of their swords, they were feared for their ability to use them. Like a chess player, the samurai always thought several moves ahead. A samurai learned many combinations of moves and trained relentlessly until his strokes became second nature and his mind, body, and sword moved as one. Razor-sharp, flexible swords weren't the samurai's only innovation. While Europeans made armor from metal, samurai used a flexible material woven from leather, iron, bamboo, and silk. These small plates made of tough rawhide were the building blocks of the armor. The armor maker cut holes for stitching and smoothed each plate before joining them together in a flexible panel. These overlapping panels helped cushion a sword's blow. And because they were flexible, they bent with the blade's impact, which made it difficult for the opponent to do any damage. The introduction of guns and gunpowder in the mid-1500s changed the samurai's way of life forever. In the mid-1500s, a samurai warlord bought a new weapon from Portuguese traders, and the Japanese were soon making guns in large numbers. Warlords began fighting each other with armies of tens of thousands of warriors, including gunners. To protect their masters against these new weapons, the samurai built large, strong castles throughout Japan. In the early 1600s, the age of samurai warfare finally came to an end. With the help of the gun, one warlord, Tokugawa Ieyasu, defeated all his rivals. The Tokugawa shoguns brought an era of peace and stability to Japan, and the skills of the samurai were no longer needed. Though the samurai are gone, people who are interested in their legendary skills are still learning more about these warriors today.
North and South Korea are East Asian countries that occupy the Korean peninsula. They are bordered by the Sea of Japan, the Korea Strait, the Yellow Sea, China, and Russia. Together, they are about the size of Mississippi and Indiana combined. South Korean factories make computers, televisions, and cars for sale around the world. Carefully planned industrial growth and trading with other countries has helped make South Korea prosperous, but this country was not always as successful as it is today. North Korea and South Korea were separated into communist and non-communist countries after World War II. The North Korean communists wanted to take control of the whole Korean peninsula, but the South Korean government did not want to become part of a communist country. South Korea was invaded by communists from North Korea in 1950. With help from the United States, South Korea was able to stay free. The North Korean army was sent back to the north, but many of South Korea's farms, fisheries, and mines were destroyed in the war. The United States gave money to South Korea and helped rebuild the country after the war. The government used the money to build factories that could produce heavy machinery as well as cars and electronics. The goods made in South Korean factories were sold around the world, and this trade made South Korea one of the richest countries in Asia. But North Korean factories have not been as productive as those of its neighbor to the south. Today, North Koreans have a much lower standard of living than South Koreans. North Korean factories used to produce iron, steel, and chemicals for sale to other communist countries. But when the former Soviet Union and East Germany abandoned communism, North Korea's government lost these trading partners. As a result, North Korea is one of the poorest countries in the world. North Korea receives donations of food from around the world because it is so poor. These donations are extremely important because they are helping many people in this Asian country survive. North Korea and South Korea are very different countries. One is a communist government and the other is a democracy. But despite differences in their governments, people living in the North and South are still Koreans. There are people in both countries who hope that the differences between North Korea and South Korea are not great enough to keep the two countries apart forever.
The countries that make up Southeast Asia are Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, and Singapore. The Mekong River, flowing through Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam, and the Chao Phraya River in Thailand have helped shape settlement and economic patterns. Most of Southeast Asia is rural, but its largest cities, Jakarta in Indonesia, Bangkok in Thailand, and Manila in the Philippines, are among the world's most populous. Deep in the heart of Cambodia's forest sits the ancient city of Angkor. Beginning in the 9th century, a dynasty of Khmer kings ruled from Angkor, one of the largest and most prosperous kingdoms in the history of Southeast Asia. The city was abandoned in the 15th century. Covering an area of over 125 square miles, hundreds of temples range from single brick towers to vast stone complexes adorned with magnificent sculptures. The ruins include Angkor Wat, built in the 12th century to honor the Hindu god Vishnu. The supreme masterpiece of Khmer architecture, Angkor Wat remains the largest religious structure in the world. For hundreds of years, Angkor was a lost city. In 1860, French colonialist Henri Mahaut rediscovered its temples. Archaeologists cleared thick vegetation from the monuments, but years of warfare and civil strife followed, threatening to completely destroy the city. Today, excavation and restoration continue so that Angkor will be around for centuries as Southeast Asia's extraordinary marvel.
Vietnam is located on the eastern coastline of the Southeast Asian Peninsula and is bordered by China to the north, Laos and Cambodia to the west, and by the Gulf of Tonkin, the South China Sea, and the Gulf of Thailand. Most of Vietnam's 81 million people live in either the Red River Delta in the north or the Mekong Delta in the south. These two deltas are some of the most productive rice-growing areas in the entire world. Most people who live here make their living by farming. They live simply and value their traditions and culture. One of these traditions is a system of moral teachings that come from neighboring China, called Confucianism. Confucius was a Chinese sage and teacher. His teachings stressed the importance of family and how family members should care for one another. The Vietnamese took the virtues of family expressed in Confucianism to heart. Traditionally, men are considered the leaders of the family. Women work alongside the men. They also raise the children and often manage the family finances. But family doesn't just mean parents and kids to Vietnamese villagers. A single house often has parents, children, grandparents, in-laws, and other relatives all under the same roof. North and South Vietnam used to be at war with one another. After 30 years of fighting, the Communist North took over the US-backed South in 1975. The country is still recovering from the long war. Poverty is a big problem, even in the cities. Families here often get split up and have to live wherever they can. Life in the city is different from life in the country in other ways too. During the war, the communist government strictly controlled the flow of information. Now, new information sources have sprung up and changed the way people think. Western beliefs, like individualism and personal expression, have become more popular in the cities, and the population is also getting a better education now. As they become more educated, people are more likely to move away from the countryside for good, in search of success in the cities. But despite these differences, family is still important to city dwellers. Many people, like this retired man, open shops out of their homes to earn money. With this money, they can help support their extended families, just like the people in villages do. So although city life and village life are getting more and more different, one thing is likely to stay the same: the Vietnamese belief in the importance of family.
Thailand is located in the center of Southeast Asia. It consists of a large northern region and a long, narrow southern region. The northern region is bordered by Myanmar to the west, Laos to the north and east, Cambodia to the southeast, and the Gulf of Thailand to the south. The southern region borders Myanmar in the north, the Andaman Sea on the west, Malaysia in the south, and the Gulf of Thailand on the east. Mountains dominate the Thai landscape in the north and west. The main feature in the east is the Korat Plateau, and in the west-central area, it's the Chao Phraya River Basin. Thailand's capital, Bangkok, is located on the Chao Phraya River, about 25 miles inland from the Gulf of Thailand. Most Thai people live in small towns and villages. Nearly all of them, 95%, are Buddhist. In Bangkok alone stand more than 400 Buddhist temples. King Rama I of the Chakri dynasty made Bangkok the capital in 1782, when he built a royal palace. Surrounded by walls, the vast Grand Palace complex covers about 60 acres. Inside the palace grounds are government offices, royal residences, and a chapel devoted to the Emerald Buddha. Carved from a large block of jade rather than emerald, the statue is a focus of national religious pride. Thousands of Thai citizens and world travelers come here every year to pay their respects to Buddha.
Laos and Cambodia are neighboring countries located on the Indo-Chinese peninsula in Southeast Asia. Cambodia is bordered by Thailand on the west and northwest, Laos on the northeast, Vietnam on the east and southeast, and the Gulf of Thailand to the southwest. Laos is bounded by China on the north, Vietnam on the northeast and east, on the west by Thailand, and on the northwest by Myanmar. The capital of Cambodia is Phnom Penh, and the capital of Laos is Vientiane. The Mekong River, the longest river in Southeast Asia, begins in the Tibetan highlands and travels through Laos to Cambodia. Cambodia is extremely rich in biodiversity, with 35% forest cover. The Tonle Sap, one of the world's richest sources of freshwater fish, countless rivers, dense tropical rainforest, and wetlands. The country is home to more than 20 endangered and rare animal species. Asian elephants, Indo-Chinese tigers, sun bears, pangolins, and snakes. But massive wildlife poaching has destroyed much of Cambodia's wildlife, and it remains a constant threat. Poachers kill or trap animals in the wild for sale to distributors and shippers. In turn, they sell the animals to restaurants and medicine shops. Asia has a long tradition of consuming animal products for health benefits. Animal parts are often used in traditional medicines. This type of animal trade is illegal. In Cambodia, wildlife conservation groups and the government are working to break up such operations and return animals to the wild. But for many people in Cambodia and Southeast Asia, poaching may be their only source of income. Conservation groups are also working to educate people about the effects of poaching on the environment and to help people find other ways to support their families. The Philippines is an archipelago or island group in Southeast Asia that encompasses 7,000 small islands. The Philippines are bounded by the South China Sea to the west, the Luzon Strait to the north, the Philippine Sea to the east, and the Sulu and Celebes Seas to the south. The islands cover 1,150 miles north to south and 700 miles east to west. The area of the Philippines is slightly larger than Arizona. Its terrain is mostly mountainous, but it has coastal plains too. Mount Apo on Mindanao Island is the country's highest point. Manila, the capital of the Philippines, is on Luzon, the largest island.